All right, so buckle up because we're taking a deep dive into the world of weddings, but not the like picture perfect kind you see in those, those glossy magazines. We're going behind the scenes with the people who really see it all, the DJs.
They're the ones who've heard it all, seen it all,
Ah,
and somehow they live to tell the tale.
and we've got this roundtable discussion with some seasoned pros. And let me tell you, they're spilling the tea on the good, the bad, and the just plain outrageous stuff that goes down at weddings.
Yeah, what I found so interesting about this particular source was the honesty. It's not
Mhm.
just about like crazy antics.
Mm.
You get a real glimpse into like the human dynamics that are at play when you combine celebration, high expectations. And let's be real, often a little too much open bar.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit.
Okay.
Starting with the elephant in the room, alcohol. The DJs had some truly wild stories about drunken mishaps. Like, picture this. You've got a bridesmaid, a little wobbly even before the cake cutting, and she manages to kick out a speaker panel during the reception.
Wow. And it's not just about like one bad apple either, right? You see this pattern throughout the discussion where alcohol acts as this kind of social amplifier. Inhibitions go down and all of a sudden you have guests doing things they would never even dream of sober.
Exactly. And it puts the DJ in this incredibly awkward position. They're not just there to spin tracks, they're suddenly like unofficial bouncers, therapists, and referees all rolled into one.
Hmm.
So this DJ, he tried reasoning with the bridesmaid, but she was having none of it. In the end, it was actually the groom's mom who stepped in and basically escorted her out.
Talk about a family intervention.
Uh-huh.
But it does raise the question, where does the responsibility actually lie? Is it on the venue to monitor alcohol consumption? Is it the wedding party to keep things under control? Or are guests ultimately, responsible for their own actions?
It's a tricky balance for sure, and it's not always just about guests getting a little rowdy either. Some of these DJs had stories about guests crossing the line into like seriously bad behavior.
Yeah, and what's fascinating there is how these situations reveal these like power dynamics at place.
Mhm.
You have a DJ often working solo, trying to manage this crowd that may include people who are intoxicated and just not thinking clearly.
Right, like this one DJ refused to play a song because it wasn't on the couple's pre-approved playlist. It seems reasonable.
Totally. It's their job to follow the client's wishes and curate the musical experience right. But not everyone respects those boundaries.
Oh, tell me about it. This guest was so furious that he couldn't hear his jam that he actually ripped the power cord out of the wall, shutting down the entire party.
Wow, that's extreme. But it highlights the vulnerability that DJs often face. They're often alone, surrounded by a crowd dealing with unpredictable behavior. It makes you think about the need for maybe clearer protocols or even designated security,
Hmm.
especially at events with open bars.
Absolutely. Another DJ faced an even scarier situation. A guest smashed a beer bottle and then threatened him because he wouldn't play a specific song. Thankfully, an off-duty police officer was there and intervened.
That's chilling. And it speaks to the importance of those security measures, right? Not just for the DJ's safety, but for all the guests. But of course, security comes at a cost.
Right, venues might hesitate to hire extra personnel and couples might be reluctant to spend the extra money. So how do you balance these safety concerns with keeping costs reasonable and maintaining that, festive atmosphere?
Yeah, it's a tough call. Maybe the solution lies in like a tiered approach.
Mhm.
You know, basic security for smaller, more intimate weddings. And then, ramp up those security measures for larger events with open bars where there's a higher potential for things to, get out of hand.
That makes a lot of sense. But even with the best security in the world, things can still go wrong. These DJs shared stories about equipment malfunctions, power outages, even freak weather events. It seems like they need to be prepared for anything.
Yeah, that's what's so impressive about them. It's not just knowing how to mix music. It's being resourceful, adaptable, and being able to think on your feet. Like this one DJ was playing an outdoor wedding when this sudden gust of wind blew his tent over, almost taking out the petting zoo in the process.
Wait, a petting zoo. Okay, now I have to hear this story.
That's a good one. And it shows how DJs often have to go so far above and beyond to salvage a situation. This DJ had to wrangle escaped goats, calm down panicked children, and get the music back up and running.
Talk about a multitasker. Makes you wonder, is there some kind of DJ boot camp where they teach you how to deal with all this craziness?
Maybe there should be, because these guys are clearly masters of improvisation and crisis management.
So we've heard about the wild side of DJing weddings, but what about the positive aspects? Because I'm guessing it's not all drunken mishaps and near-death experiences.
Definitely not. We'll dig into that side of things next. But before we move on, let's pause and think about this. If you were a guest at a wedding and you witnessed one of these crazy incidents, how would you react? Would you be mortified, amused? secretly hoping someone caught it on video for YouTube.
Oh, that's a good question. It's easy to laugh at these stories from a distance, but I bet it's a whole different experience when you're actually there in the moment. We'll be back to hear more from these incredible DJs and explore the lighter side of their experiences. Welcome back. We're diving deeper into the world of wedding DJs and healthpiece. While we've heard some pretty wild stories about the challenges they face, let's not forget these are the folks who really know how to keep the party going. They're masters at reading the crowd, setting the mood, and creating those unforgettable musical moments that really make a wedding special.
Yeah, it's a unique skill set that goes way beyond just technical proficiency. They need to have this intuitive sense of what people want to hear, how to build that energy on the dance floor, and just how to adapt to the flow of the event.
It's almost like they have a sixth sense, right? They can just feel the vibe of the room and adjust the music accordingly. One DJ described it as being like a musical chameleon, blending in with the surroundings and reflecting the emotions of the crowd.
That's a beautiful way to put it. They become part of the fabric of the celebration, enhancing the joy, the romance, and even the bittersweet moments.
Speaking of bittersweet moments, let's talk about those special dances. The first dance, the father-daughter dance, the mother-son dance. The DJ said these are often the most emotionally charged moments of the entire night. And they take great care in selecting the perfect songs to really capture that mood.
It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
You want to honor the couple's wishes, of course, but also guide them towards songs that are appropriate for the occasion and will resonate with their guests.
One DJ shared a story about a bride who wanted a death metal song for her father-daughter dance.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine?
That's a bold choice. It speaks to the diversity of musical tastes out there, but also the need for DJs to sometimes have those tough conversations with couples, explaining why certain songs might not be the best fit for that particular moment.
Yeah, this DJ managed to kind of steer the bride towards a more traditional song, but he said it was a delicate negotiation. You don't want to crush someone's dreams on their wedding day, right?
Absolutely. It's about finding a compromise that honors the couple's individuality
Mhm.
while still maintaining the overall tone and flow of the event.
And sometimes those compromises involve dealing with some pretty out there requests. Another DJ told a story about a groom who insisted on playing the chicken dance at his wedding. Not just once, but 3 times.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pushing it. But it highlights the fact that DJs often have to cater to this wide range of musical tastes, even if it means sacrificing their own personal preferences.
This DJ said he cringed every time that song came on, but he put on a smile and played it with gusto because he knew it was important to the groom.
Yeah, that's professionalism. But also recognizing that it's not about you as the DJ. It's about creating this memorable experience for the couple and their guests.
So we've talked about the emotional and musical challenges, but what about the technical side of things? I mean, these DJs are dealing with complex equipment, sound systems, lighting, and they have to make sure everything runs smoothly.
It's a lot to juggle, especially in a live event setting where anything can go wrong.
Yeah.
They talked about dealing with power outages, faulty equipment, even guests spilling drinks on their gear.
Oh, I can only imagine the stress. It must be like this constant game of tech support, troubleshooting problems on the fly while trying to keep the music going.
And remember, this is often happening in front of a large crowd who are expecting this seamless experience. So not only do they have to fix the problem, they have to do it discreetly and calmly.
One DJ described a situation where his laptop crashed in the middle of a reception. Thankfully, he had a backup system ready to go, but he said those few minutes of silence felt like an eternity.
Talk about thinking on your feet. That's where experience and preparation really come into play. These DJs emphasize the importance of having backup equipment redundancy in their systems and a plan B for every possible scenario.
And sometimes those plan Bs involve some pretty creative problem solving. Like this DJ who was playing an outdoor wedding when a sudden downpour started. He didn't have a cover for his equipment, so he ended up using a giant beach umbrella to protect his gear from the rain.
That's amazing. It's all about that resourcefulness and ingenuity, being able to adapt to those unexpected challenges and find solutions on the spot.
It makes you realize that being a DJ is about so much more than just pressing play on a playlist. It's a combination of technical skill, musical knowledge, people skills, and a whole lot of resilience.
And let's not forget the physical demands. They're often hauling heavy equipment, setting up and tearing down their gear,
Oh.
and just standing for hours on end.
I hadn't really thought about the physical aspect of it, but you're right, it's definitely not a job for the faint of heart. One DJ described how he injured his ankle while carrying a speaker, and he had to DJ the rest of the reception in excruciating pain.
It speaks to their dedication and commitment.
Mm.
You know, They're not just there to collect a paycheck. They genuinely care about making that event a success, even if it means pushing through personal discomfort.
It's inspiring, really. They face all these challenges with a smile on their face and a beat in their heart.
They're like the Energizer bunnies of the wedding industry, keeping the party going no matter what obstacles they encounter.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's take a moment to appreciate the hard work, dedication, and sheer resilience of these incredible DJs.
They're the unsung heroes of countless weddings, creating the soundtrack to some of life's most precious memories.
But hold on, we're not done yet. We've got more stories to share, including some hilarious tales of wardrobe malfunctions, near-death experiences, and the occasional run-in with wildlife. Stay tuned. And we're back, and you guys won't believe some of the stories these DJs had about their on-the-job mishaps. Like, talk about adding insult to injury. One DJ told us about a time he ripped his pants on the way to the reception.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he had to borrow pants from a guest who was a completely different size, so he spent the whole night, like, awkwardly adjusting and trying not to bust a seam.
That's like every wedding DJ's worst nightmare. You're supposed to be the smooth operator, not the guy with the wardrobe malfunction.
Exactly, but it just goes to show you, even the pros can't plan for every curveball. Speaking of curveballs, some DJs talked about the physical toll of the job, hauling heavy equipment, navigating crowded dance floors, not to mention the occasional rowdy guest who gets a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, it's easy to forget that there's a lot of manual labor involved. One DJ mentioned that he injured his ankle carrying a speaker and had to power through the rest of the night in excruciating pain.
Wow, that's some serious dedication. It really speaks to their commitment to the craft. But, some of the hazards weren't just from physical strain. A couple of DJs mentioned getting shocked by old equipment, especially back when those strobe lights were all the rage.
It's fascinating how the technology has evolved.
Yeah.
But even with modern gear, there's still that element of risk.
Yeah.
It reminds me of how musicians used to deal with faulty wiring and pyrotechnics back in the day.
Right. It seems like there's always something that can go wrong, but that's all part of the excitement, isn't it? These DJs wouldn't trade it for anything. They love the energy, the connection with the crowd, the feeling of being part of such a special day.
And that really shines through in their stories. Despite all the craziness, there's this deep sense of satisfaction they get from bringing people together through music. They become more than just DJs. They're facilitators of joy memory makers, sometimes even like impromptu therapists.
One DJ said it best. He said, "Weddings are like a microcosm of life. You get the good, the bad, and the ugly all rolled into one epic party. And the DJ is right there in the middle of it all, orchestrating the chaos and keeping the good times rolling."
Yeah, it's such a unique perspective. They see all the behind-the-scenes drama, the family dynamics, the hilarious moments, the heartfelt ones. They're like the silent observers who witness the full spectrum of human emotion.
So what have we learned from our deep dive into the world of wedding DJs? First, they're way tougher than we give them credit for. They deal with everything from drunken guests and equipment meltdowns to wardrobe malfunctions, and even the occasional petting zoo escapee.
And second, alcohol plays a huge role in many of the wilder stories. It reminds us of the importance of responsible drinking and the need for clear boundaries when it comes to guest behavior, not just for the safety of the DJ, but for everyone at the wedding.
And finally, despite all the challenges, these DJs are so passionate about what they do. They find so much joy in creating memorable experiences, bringing people together, and keeping the party going no matter what. So next time you're at a wedding, take a moment to appreciate the DJ. They might just be the most interesting person in the room with the wildest stories to tell.
That's right. And who knows, maybe you'll even be inspired to step behind the turntables yourself someday. Just be prepared for anything.
That's right, because as we've learned from these amazing DJs when it comes to weddings, there's no such thing as a dull moment. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and until next time, keep the music playing.